channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and books. I talk about books and book-related things, and today I am giving you my September TBR. I'm going to give you two full disclaimer and transparencies. Hi, also, welcome to my new office. It's nice, isn't it? The lighting, the ambiance. I'm a big fan. I am enjoying my space. With that being said, there is a loud banging happening outside. It's because it's super windy. I don't really know what the deal is. Don't know what the situation is. Not really sure what's going on or why that's happening, but it is happening. So, full transparency and apologies for that. Second, if you if you see me looking off to the side, that is because that's where all my notes are. I'm not holding my iPad like I normally am because it's dead. I am in the middle of moving, so there's that. Third and final disclosure, I am not going to be putting the pictures of the books right here, probably. If I get a second wind and decide to do it, awesome. However, chances of that happening, very slim. Why, you may ask? We're still unpacking, and I have to basically get everything out of the living room done because our couch is coming. So I need my living room basically set up, and that is where I have put all of the boxes, thinking I wouldn't have a couch for quite some time. So those are all of my disclosures, my disclaimers, etc., etc. Mostly sorry for the banging. That's really the big one that I'm sorry about, but I am in the middle of moving, so I can only do so much for y'all when I am very, very busy and overwhelmed. The next few months is going to be a lot of this chaoticness, just because my reception is coming up. We've got this going on, we've got Clear Your Shit coming up, very busy. So, but once I am like settled and moved in, things will be good to go. However, also, knowing all of that, I made this TBR very small. She's a small list, so let's go ahead and start talking about it. We're going to talk about our series continuations and new series. I am going to be continuing the Prison Healer books by Lynette Nani. I read these books. It was one of the first arcs that I had ever really gotten back in 2020, I believe, and I really, really enjoyed it. I have some concerns about where the story could go, especially with some of the naming conventions of the title, the last title. It makes me a little bit, what are we doing there, bestie? But I don't know enough about certain conversations to have conversations, and I haven't seen it brought up, so maybe I'm just overthinking it. But I don't want to spoil the series. I have read the first two in the series, which is The Prison Healer and The Gilded Cage, and the third book just recently came out, and that is called The Blood Trader. I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'm just going to read you the summary from book one, and if you decide you want to read it, then have at it. I have a review somewhere on a blog somewhere, my blog, where I write about books. I did write a review for this one, so. When 17-year-old Kiva Meriden has spent the last 10 years fighting for survival in the notorious death prison Zalendov, working as the prison healer. When the rebel queen is captured, Kiva is charged with keeping the terminally ill woman alive long enough for her to undergo the trial by ordeal, a series of elemental challenges against the torments of air, fire, water, and earth, assigned to only the most dangerous of criminals. Then a coded message from Kiva's family arrives containing one single order: don't let her die, we are coming. Aware that the trials will kill the sickly queen, Kiva risks her own life to volunteer in her place. If she succeeds, both she and the queen will be granted their freedom, but no one has ever survived. With an incurable plague sweeping Zalendov, a mysterious new inmate fighting for Kiva's heart, and a prison rebellion brewing, Kiva can't escape the terrible feeling that her trials have only just begun. The twist in the second book, maybe the first book. A twist that happened in one of the books truly shook me to my core, enough so that I remember it, which is really saying something because I remember nothing ever. So impressive, right? The next series I will be continuing is The Witch King by H.E. Edgeman. I will be reading that as a reread and then also reading The Fae Keeper. I read The Witch King around July of last year and really, really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure I just like straight up devoured that book. I have a really big preference for fantasy books that reference the Fae realm and actually actively uses the rules around Fae correctly and accurately. I really appreciate that. You know what I don't really appreciate is when instead of doing all of those things because they don't fit into the plot of your book, you just decide to be like, the fairies laughed because they said, haha, we tricked you all and lied, and none of those rules are real. We just wanted you to feel safer at home. Anyway, I don't know who would do that, but they really should be stopped, Sarah J. Maas. So The Witch King by H.E. Edgeman. Wyatt would give anything to forget where he came from, but a kingdom demands its king. In Aslan, Fae rule and witches like Wyatt Croft don't. Wyatt's betrothal to his best friend, Fae Prince Immer North, was supposed to change that, but when Wyatt lost control of his magic one devastating night, he fled to the human world. Now, a coldly distant Immer... is it Immer? Has hunted him down. Despite transgender Wyatt's newfound identity and troubling past, Immer has no intention of dissolving their engagement. In fact, he claims they must marry now or risk losing the throne. Jaded, Wyatt strikes a deal with the enemy, hoping to escape Aslan forever. But as he gets to know Immer, Wyatt realizes the boy he once loved may still exist. And as the witches face worsening conditions, he must decide once and for all what's more important, his people or his freedom. I heard from Art, because that's really all the only person I talk to about books anymore, I heard from Art that the sequel has a lot of body horror in it. And if you know anything about me, then you know that horror is my favorite, and body horror is top 10. So number 1 on the top 10 list, actually, if I'm being transparent. So I'm very excited about that. For another series continuation, I am going to be reading Wildcard by Marie Lu. This is the sequel. I believe this series is only a duology, so it would be the last book, to Warcross. Unlike the first 2 sets where I reread the first book, and so I have only given you the description for the first book. I am not rereading Warcross because I read it about 2 months ago, I believe, in June or July, and so I don't need to read it again because I do remember the majority of the plot and the twist at the end, so nothing is going to really like shake me to my core. And that also means I'm not going to read you the summary from the first book, but I am going to read you the summary from the second book. So if you haven't read Warcross and you want to read Warcross, this is your warning now that the next like 30 seconds to a minute will be spoilers. So Amika Chen barely made it out of the Warcross Championships alive. Now that she knows the truth behind Hidio's new Neuralink algorithm, she can no longer trust the one person she's always looked up to, who she once thought was on her side. Determined to put a stop to Hidio's grim plans, Amika and the Phoenix Riders band together, only to find a new threat lurking on the neon-lit streets of Tokyo. Someone's put a bounty on Amika's head, and her sole chance for survival lies with Zero and the Black Coats, his ruthless crew. But Amika soon learns that Zero isn't all he seems, and his protection comes at a price. No shit, he works in the black market, stupid. Caught in a web of betrayal with the future of free will at risk, just how far will Amika go to take down the man she loves? I don't know. Hopefully really far, because bestie, dump him, leave him, move on. Next, we have a new series by Sarah Holland. It is Everless by Sarah Holland. I believe this came out in 2013, 2015. I could be very wrong. I honestly don't know. I have incredibly low expectations and even lower hopes. That is because most fantasy books that show romance in the like top genres on Goodreads, that means I have very low hopes for a book. But we're gonna read it because it has been on my library TBR for over a year and I want to yeet it off. In the kingdom of Sempera, time is currency, extracted from blood, bound to iron, and consumed to add to one's own lifespan. The rich aristocracy, like the Gerlings? I don't know, tax the poor to the hilt, extending their own lives by centuries. No one resents that family more than Jules Ember. A decade ago, she and her father were servants at Everless, that family's palatial estate, until a fateful accident forced them to flee in the dead of the night. When Jules discovers that her father is dying, she knows that she must return to Everless to earn more time for him before she loses him forever. But going back to Everless brings more danger and temptation than Jules could have ever imagined. Soon, she's caught in a tangle of violent secrets and finds her heart torn between two people, shock, she thought she'd never see again. Her decisions have the power to change her fate and the fate of time itself. If this bitch picks love over her father, I'm gonna throw a tantrum. I'm gonna be very upsetty spaghetti about that one. Just so we're all aware, I think that trope is stupid. Thank you. Moving on to my ARCs, the advanced reader copies that I will be reading. I did not put in my notes when these books are coming out. I assume in the next month or two I will put the dates somewhere around here. Hopefully Editing Me does that. The first one we have is A Sliver of Darkness by C.J. Tudor. This is a short story collection. I believe it is a horror short story collection. I'm not sure. In final course, the world has descended into darkness, but a group of old friends make time for one last dinner party. In Runaway Blues, thwarted love, revenge, and something very nasty stowed in a hat box converge. In Gloria, a strange girl at a service station endears herself to a cold-hearted killer, but can a leopard really change its spots? And in I'm Not Ted, a case of mistaken identity has unforeseen, fatal consequences. It looked good, and I think they reached out directly to me for this one. I don't remember. I'm also very sorry to anybody that had reached out to me for a review, and I had said I would get one and then have not gotten back to anyone in a while. Obviously, I've talked about this. My life has been very busy. Next, we have The Villa by, I said Sarah Holland, and that is not correct. It is by Rachel Hawkins. My notes are very wrong. It's by Rachel Hawkins. I've read a lot of thrillers by Rachel Hawkins. I really enjoyed it, and so I was glad when the publisher reached out to me for The Villa. Rachel Hawkins is actually like kind of a mixed bag for me, but I do enjoy her writing. As kids, Emily and Chess were inseparable. I mean, their name is Chess. But by their 30s, their bond has been strained by demands of their adult lives. So when Chess suggests a girl's trip to Italy, Emily jumps at the chance to reconnect with her best friend. Villa Estas in Orvieto, I don't know, is a high-end holiday home, but in 1974 it was known as Villa Rosato and rented for the summer by a notorious rock star, Noel Gordon. In an attempt to reignite his creative spark, Noel invites up-and-coming musician Pierce Sheldon to join him, as well as Pierce's girlfriend, Mari, and her stepsister, Laura. But he also sets in motion a chain of events that leads Mari writing one of the greatest horror novels of all time, Laura composing a platinum album, and ends in Pierce's brutal murder. As Emily digs into the villa's complicated history, she begins to think that there might be more to the story of that fateful summer in 1974. That perhaps Pierce's murder wasn't just a tale of sex, drugs, and rock and roll gone wrong, but that something more sinister might have occurred, and that there might be clues hidden in the now iconic works that Mari and Laura left behind. Yet, the closer that Emily gets to the truth, the more tension she feels developing between her and Chess. As secrets from the past come to light, equally dangerous betrayals from the present also emerge, and it begins to look like the villa will claim another victim before the summer ends. Dun dun dun! That was really dramatic of me, I'm sorry. Next, we have Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Alberts, and the next books are in none of the above categories. They're just books. This is a book I was waiting to come out. I really enjoy Melissa Alberts' Tales from the Hinterland series, so we'll see how this goes, because it looks like it's horror, and the other one was like dark fairy tale-esque. The Suburbs, right now. 17-year-old Ivy's summer break kicks off with an accident, a punishment, and a mystery. A stranger whose appearance in the middle of the road, in the middle of the night, heralds a string of increasingly unsettling events. As the days pass, Ivy grapples with eerie offerings, corroded memories, and a secret she's always known, that there's more to her mother than meets the eye. The city, back then. Dana has always been perceptive, and the summer she turned 16 with the help of her best friend and an ambitious older girl, her gifts bloom into a heady fling with the supernatural. Set in a city of magical possibilities and secret mythics, as the trio's aspirations darken, they find themselves speeding toward a violent breaking point. Years after it began, Ivy and Dana's shared story will come down into a reckoning among a daughter, a mother, and the dark forces that they never should have messed with. I'm really interested in reading a book in which the mother's name is Dana, because that is the name of my mother, and that is it. That's the reason. Thank you. Goodbye. Next, we have The Cage by Bonnie Kissler. This is also something that's been on my list for a little bit. It came out this year though, so I don't really know how it has been on my list for a little bit, but it has. It is an adult thriller. On a cold, misty Sunday night, two women are alone in the offices of fashion conglomerate Claudine de Martineau International. One is the company's human resources director, impeccably dressed and perfectly coiffed. She sits at her desk and stares somberly out the window. Down the hall, her colleague, one of the company's lawyers, is buried under a pile of paperwork, frantically rushing to finish. Leaving at the same time, the two women, each preoccupied by her own thoughts, enter the elevator that will take them down from the 30th floor. When they arrive at the lobby, one of the women is dead. Was it murder or suicide? I don't know, it just conceptually sounds really cool. It just sounds cool. And then the next book is what was the August book pick for last month. I just did not get to it for the Queer Book Crew. I did not get to it because, again, busy. I am excited to read it though. I voted for it, so obviously I have opinions. So, The Society for Soulless Girls by Laura Stephen. 10 years ago, 4 students lost their lives in the infamous North Tower murders at the elite Carvel College of Arts, forcing Carvel to close its doors. Now, Carvel is reopening, and fearless student Lottie is determined to find out what really happened. But when her roommate Alice stumbles upon a sinister soul-splitting ritual hidden in Carvel's haunted library, the North Tower claims another victim. Can Lottie uncover the truth before the North Tower strikes again? Can Alice reverse the ritual before her monstrous alter ego consumes her? And can they stop flirting for literally 15 seconds in order to do this? Probably not. It's a young adult, so I'm gonna say no. And the last book on my list is an art recommendation, and Art basically finished this book and was like, drop your entire TBR and read this now. And I was like, I'm several books behind, bestie. I will not be doing that, but I support you. So it is now on the list. That is Truly Darkly Deeply by Victoria Selman. 12-year-old Sophie and her mother, Amelia Rose, moved to London from Massachusetts, where they meet the charismatic Maddie Milgren, who quickly becomes an part of their lives. But as the relationship between the two adults fracture, a serial killer begins targeting young women with a striking resemblance to Amelia Rose. When Maddie is eventually sent down for multiple murders, questions remain as to his guilt, questions which ultimately destroy both women. Nearly 20 years later, Sophia receives a letter from Battlemouth Prison informing her that Maddie is dying and wants to meet. It looks like Sophie might finally get the answer she craves, but will the truth set her free or bury her deeper? Who knows? Not me. That's my TBR though. Very short and sweet this month. Again, busy. I don't know how many times I have to say it. It's mostly because I'm very apologetic and I just want you guys to know that if I don't seem very active or I don't seem like I'm responding to comments or I just seem really busy, it is because I am really busy. I really want to make sure that CLEARURSHT is ready to go before it comes out in 2 months and before the announcements and stuff start soon. I have to make sure that everything is good to go. So there might be a chance that I miss a couple of deadlines for my videos, or that I take a little bit longer to reply to things or deal with things, because when I am going to be working on mouse reads, I will be focusing on CLEARURSHT during that time, which I normally set aside for this stuff. However, because I am no longer traveling every single weekend, because I live with my husband now, I will have a lot more free time to actually work on these things. I'll actually have weekends where I can focus on this instead of being in a space that's not my space and not having all of my things and oh no, I forgot a thing and whatever. I will be able to do all of these things. And also, you know, we live in the middle of nowhere now, so it's not like I can go down shopping or anything, so I will have to really focus on the work that I need to get done, which is a good thing. That's actually very much a good thing. It means my weekends can just be my weekends where I can be productive or I can be lazy, but either way I have the option instead of having to choose between having to only do lazy or only spend social time with my husband, because that is the only time that we got at the time. So I'm really glad that that is no longer the case and I should be able to do all of these things. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. If you didn't enjoy this video, I promise this is not my normal layout and format, and that I will be working to film a little bit differently, be in a different spot, look a little differently. Things are going to be back more or less to their normal filming situation. I'm going to be in the pink chair. Maybe I might be putting it in the living room actually, because we don't have chairs, but I will at least be close to the bookshelf. So yeah, and I am hopefully gonna film a little bit, not a house tour, but like I might film a bookshelf tour, that kind of thing, at a later date, so you have that to look forward to. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. I post videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every single week, although again, I might miss that. And don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for watching. Okay, thanks. Bye.